Hey guys, it's Alex from Jetset Plumbing. I'm here with Wyndham and Will. We've got roughly a 15-meter inversion to do today. So we're gonna get our camera down, get some measurements, get our measurements on the cowl tube and the liner, cut those up and get that ready for resin. So right now we're just oiling up the liner to go through our cowl tube. This is what's gonna stay in the drain and become our new reline. Once it gets put down into the drain, we'll invert, go inside out. The resin will already be in here, and then that'll stay at the end of the job. So Will's just pulling the liner through. We've attached the liner to the camera here, and we're just sliding all through. While we're doing that, we are just putting the oil nice and evenly over top and bottom. Less friction means an easier push. So right now we're just checking that the liner hasn't flipped over in the drain, because we use air to pressurize everything and push it through the drains. If there's a twist, there's an airlock and it'll just stop there. And obviously we don't want that to stop because it'll just set in the drain like that. So just go through, making sure that everything looks like it's untwisted, nice and flat. Everything looks good. Alrighty, so what we're doing here is we're now gluing the liner, which is the inside, to the outside cowl tube. So first we're just getting the primer on to get any oils or finger grease or anything that's on there that's going to stop the bond of the oil. This is a very critical part of the inversion, because what this does is this actually starts the inversion process. Without this glue joint, the inner liner will just stay flat. So because everything's getting pushed from inside to outside, this glue joint allows the liner to follow the cowl tube like that. All right, so we're getting our resin out now. We know what our quantities are, so we can start mixing the right amount. And then once that's all mixed together, we'll have our liner in here, fill up the liner with the resin, spread it all through. And then what this is here, this is our roller. So we can adjust this to the right height. And then what that does is to make sure as we're putting the liner through, it's pushing the resin down and we've got the right amount of resin the whole way through the liner. All right, so we've got our liner and our cowl tube set up here. So what I'm gonna do is feed this through the roller. Make sure that we've got enough, because what's gonna happen is we're gonna fill the resin in from this point. It's gonna come in here through a funnel and then work its way down. What I wanna do before we get to that point is vacuum the line to get all the air out. So what that does is, with all the air out of the line, the resin will seep into the liner a lot better. So I'll just push down on the roller there so it pinches it. So this will be unvacuumed and the rest of the line is going to get vacuumed. So I'll set this up now so it's nice and neat with less kinks in it. Make sure there's no twists again. That's a pretty recurring theme with this. And the nice big sweeping bends that we have here will allow the vacuum to really suck down. If you have really tight bends, the vacuum will get to a choke point. All right, so we have our vacuum attached to the end of our liner here. So we've got our liner, the outside part's our cowl tube. Because it's called an inversion, as it goes down, the outside's gonna become the inside. So this cowl tube is gonna act like a balloon inside, and we're gonna fill that with air. It's gonna expand to the outside of the pipe, or to the inside of the pipe, and then we're gonna put water through, but that's down the track anyway, so. So we're just mixing up the resin now. Now we've got our bucket ready with oil in it. So we're gonna fill up the liner with resin, push it all through, and then we'll start feeding the liner and the cowl tube into the bin with all the oil in it. And then from that point, we're ready to start putting it into the drum, get it into the drains. So now we're just pushing the resin through the liner, getting it all past the roller here so we can put the rest of the resin in, pushing it through. Happy days, all right, rest of the resin. There you go. So time is definitely a factor with this, because we've mixed the hardener into the resin. We have a limited amount of time before it starts setting. If it starts setting while it's in the drum, we have issues. All right, so we're tying the rope from our cowl tube and liner onto the drum here. It's all connected as one piece. Once that's done, tape it all up. So as we're feeding this through into the drum, same again, no twists, make everything go in the same direction, so we don't want any airlocks. So we have points on this liner that we know if it's a certain way up. So in this case, writing down. So as we're feeding through, we don't want to be able to see any of the writing. So as you can see, we've got our cowl tube and liner all tied up together with the end of the rope and the hose, so they all need to feed down at the same time. We're going to be feeding this in, make sure it's nice and flat the whole way in the drum, pushing it side to side all the way to the edges so there's no cavities. We have the end of the cowl tube here, so this is the very start of the inversion process. We fold it inside out and around the front of the drum, and we've got marks here already that we pull it up to so we can get our measurements right, so all the way up to that mark, and then we'll tape it in place. Then we have this pre-cut liner here that we're going to put over the front. So this just protects the cowl tube from getting any tears or holes in it. Obviously, because this is all a pressurized system, any holes or anything like that will create dramas. Time is of the essence here. Trying to make sure everything's correct. He's put the lid down on the top of the drum, so he's gonna start airing up soon. So Winnie's gonna be watching the gauge, making sure that all the pressure's all right. I'm gonna help feed the start of the inversion in. Yep, so that's the inversion coming through now, and I'll just guide this in. All right, so now we're just working the drum. Sometimes when it hits a bend, it'll slow down. So we pull back a little bit of pressure, let that pressure build up, throw it forward, and it'll just let it sail through again. All right, so I believe we're at the end of our line here. So what I want to do, just to make sure, we'll get it up to pressure, and then I'll keep just trying to work it a little bit. You can kind of feel when it's at the end there, but we'll just give it a little bit of a chance to really just pull back. And if it wants to fly forward, you know, a meter or so it can. We're in place now, so time is less of a factor. We're happy with where we're sitting, but we want to make sure that we're all the way to the end of our line, because we don't want to stop it prematurely because there'll be a blockage in the line. All right, so we've got the water going into our drum at the moment. So what that does is the drum's going to fill up, then fill up the rest of the line. So we're filling it up with 60-degree hot water, which the hot water starts the setting process. Once that's all full, we're then going to go on a recycle, which is basically we're just running the water all the way through the line and then back out to our boiler, and then that's going to keep it at 60 degrees. We're going to keep that on for 90 minutes, and then once that's done, we're going to flush it with cold water, and that sets the resin hard. And then once that's done, pull out the cowl tube and then do an inspection and see how it all went. All right, so we've finished our 90-minute hot cycle. So we've run the hot water through the whole system for 90 minutes. So now what we're going to do is put the cold water in, fully fill the line with cold water the whole way through, and that's going to set the resin hard. So we've run the cold water all the way through the system. So at this point now, we're just letting the excess water drain out as we're pulling back the cowl tube. All right, so we've taken the cowl tube out of the drain and removed the drum. So now we're just chucking the camera down, inspecting everything, making sure everything looks the way we want it to look. We do have a junction where another line comes into this one that we're gonna have to cut out, but it looks really good. So I'm just setting up the robot here, setting the robot cutter down so this has a head on the end that can drill out the junctions. So we have the main line where we've done the inversion, another junction in, we've lined over that. So we're gonna cut out the inversion there and then let the water through. So we've got the cutter down the drain now. So I'm just finding out exactly where we need to be cutting to. When we did the inversion, I put it up to a pressure where the liner would blow out into the junction, so we have a clear picture of what needs to get cut out. We're just doing that process now. It's one of those, you don't try and rush it because you don't want to be cutting out pipe, just the liner that we put in. All right guys, we've finished the inversion. The new line is completed. We've done the robotic cutting for all the junctions and stuff. So the clients are happy, they've got a brand new drain, and we're on our way. Another successful day from Jetset Plumbing.